How's it going, everybody? We're in a little bit of a downtime right now when it comes to changes. The Warden rework has been implemented and the small bugs have been fixed with the recent hotfix. So now it's just enjoying, or rather grinding the event, but I think everyone's looking forward to the big testing rounds with the changes to 7 heroes. And while there will probably be much to complain about, deservedly or not, right now the most hate still goes towards Gryphon. Usually the complaints die down after a while and you can chalk it down to a hero being new. But not this time. You're still evil incarnate when you pick Gryphon, and a lot of players want to see him nerfed into the ground. I don't necessarily subscribe to this approach. I want more heroes to be as strong as Gryphon is, instead of creating another dumpster tier, because people refuse to accept that getting hit in a fight is not the end of the world. But I digress. I want to talk about 2 topics today, both of which you can observe in Gryphon's design. One is very strong chain offense, and the other is the ease of getting into said offense. Because the design concept of Gryphon can be observed separately in quite a few other heroes, yet never quite combined together in the way you see with the evil old man. Let's talk about the chain offense first. I've talked about his mix-up dozens of times on this channel by now. There's a whole video about how to deal with it most effectively, so if you haven't seen that one yet and struggle with it, feel free to check it out after this one. A fast bash confirming a 28 damage heavy. That's what's usually complained about. And it's understandable. The kick is unreactable and requires a read to defend against. Let's look at other heroes that have their quote-unquote main offense at the end of their chain. The most obvious here is Valkyrie. 2 hits and then she can sweep. A 600 MS bash that confirms 26 damage. So it's slower and confirms less damage. And it's harder to get into. But it's a lot less punishable. So, does anyone complain about sweep? Fuck no. Well, I'm sure there are some people out there that do, but let's be realistic here for a second. You really shouldn't be complaining about Valkyrie's sweep. Then Lawbringer. He has strong chain offense. His unblockable finisher do 30 and 32 damage respectively and have a big hitbox and really good tracking. Does anyone complain about those? Fuck no, quite the opposite. People demand hyper armor on these attacks. And another obvious one, as he shares even more properties with how attack chains advance. It's Kensei. Big unblockable mix-up at the end that is really strong, as it can't safely be option selected by most heroes. But you also hear complaints that the unblockable can be easily interrupted. Once again, I've talked about this topic in the past, feel free to check that one out as well. And just to be clear, I am in no way saying that either of these 3 mix-ups come even close to the strength of Gryphon's. Don't get me wrong, but they are comparable in nature. The further you get into the chain, the stronger your attacks are supposed to be. I hope that is a philosophy most people here can agree with. Seeing as many hate neutral bashes, I don't think I'm far off it. Then the second talking point, Gryphon's ease of getting into his mix-up. The strength of it is supposed to be gate-kept by the fact that it is at the very end of his attack chain. To someone mitigate it, he got the Kensei treatment. Guard breaks, throws, dodge attacks and so on, move his chain forward. So a guard break into heavy lets him chain into the kick. Bash into light, same thing, it leads straight into the mix-up. And then something which has always and will always be complained about, light attacks. Gryphon has a double light, allowing him to go straight into the mix-up after landing a single light. The thought process behind it was probably to allow him to use it after a parry or something. But with the old gen console's current state, meaning lights are unreactable for the vast majority, this also means that Gryphon has access to his kick whenever the fuck he wants. There isn't really a barrier anymore. The fact that it is at the end of his chain is completely irrelevant. This raises a few more questions. Why don't Valkyrie, Lawbringer and Kensei have the same option? In theory, these 3 should have access to double lights as well then. I don't really see a reason for Gryphon to be the sole hero that benefits from this. Once again, let's look at heroes that do have double lights and what it means for their offense. First, Shaman. Well, she can chain into her unblockable from a single light as well, or normal heavy, whatever you prefer. The double light has 0 significance to her kit strength. Then Warden, pretty much the same deal here. The only time when you want to throw a single light is during out of stamina punishes or when you want to avoid hitting a wall with the magnificent hitbox of the second light. To put it simple, the double light mechanic plays no role at all for either of the two heroes. It's nice to have, sure, but at the end of the day, nothing would really change if we removed that part of the kit. So the double light as well as a single landed neutral bash leading into the mix-up is what most people would probably identify as the source of Gryphon's strength. Neutral bashes in general are a topic of debate when comparing top players versus the rest. At competitive level, the 600 MS bashes usually get dodged on reaction, while they will land a lot on all other levels. That's why Gryphon's neutral offense has been described as rather lackluster. 500 MS lights and the bash are reactable for some people, and that is regardless of platform, because let's be honest once again, old gen consoles will become irrelevant really soon, and having watched Spy play against some next gen players on Xbox, I can confidently say that 500 MS lights are absolutely reactable on the new generation of consoles. Granted, you have the needed reaction time, but I don't want to get into the whole genetics argument. So over time, people will upgrade their systems and will get used to Gryphon even more. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft just sits this problem out. I would if I were in their shoes, to be honest. It's a problem that's gonna fix itself to some degree at least. If anything, I can only see two appropriate nerfs to Gryphon when strictly talking about his mix-up. For one, lowering the damage of the confirmed heavy. 28 is a tad high, but I'm in general advocating for lower damage. And the other thing, take away his double lights. I honestly don't see a reason why he needs them. Or take the other route and give double lights to heroes that benefit in a similar fashion. Another thing people will bring up is his dodge attack, but that's a separate topic as that would take way too long to pick apart all the issues with those moves currently. Let's just say I'm not a fan of having to feint to neutral all the time. It's mind-numbingly boring. But to wrap things up, would it be enough? Would the community be satisfied if Gryphon actually had a harder time getting into the mix-up? Is that an approach people could get behind? Or do we want to see him nerfed to Orochi levels? Question should be, was the Gryphon experiment successful and should other heroes benefit from this? Or was it a failure and should he suffer the same as Valkyrie? People will come to vastly different conclusions, but I doubt the Gryphon topic is going to be off the table anytime soon. Take it easy in the comment section. I don't really want to read excessive whining, but feel free to share constructive feedback when it comes to his kit. Alright, enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I hope the video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.